Yeah, just turn it on when you're ready to speak. Monica, you ready? Everybody ready up here? All right. Everybody please stand for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. I'd like to welcome you all to our budget workshop tonight. We're going to introduce everybody up here like we have been doing for everybody at home. Down on my far left is Lucy McConaughey. Next to her is Jim Curtella. Next to myself is Beverly Kennedy. Betty Ann Peck to my right. Kristen Hanowitz in the middle. Carol Mortawanic over at the end. Tom Schutte, alternate, over on that table over there. And Tracy Rappa, alternate. She's over there as well. And I'm Chairman Richard Demko. We're going to do two public comments like we've usually been doing. First public comment will be for anybody who wants to talk about anything that we've previously discussed or any thoughts on what we have upcoming. Public will have 2 minutes to speak. If you wish to speak, state your name and address for the record. Public comment going once. Public comment going twice. First public comment going 3 times. First public comment is closed. Item number 4, presentation and discussions on the 2024-2025 budget. So we have 4 departments tonight. The Fire Marshal, the Fire Department, Comms and Emergency Management, and Events Committee. So we will start with the Fire Marshal. Tim, come on up. State your name and your official title for the record, please.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Timothy Willis, Town of Seymour, Fire Marshal.
All right. The floor is yours.
Okay, good evening, guys. Traditionally, I'm sure it's how you've been getting most of the boards. I'd like to go line by line, and please, I'll do my presentation. I'm not trying to step on your toes, but please interact if you have questions as we go down. I will be able to provide that with you. So this, I'd like to think, is the easiest budget that I've presented since I've been presenting the budgets. You'll see for the most part, it's a lot of zero increases other than some contractual things. So first and foremost is line 101, which is the salary for the Fire Marshal. That is contractually obligated through the collective bargaining agreement. This year will be a 2.75% increase. Next item, 110, salary for the Deputy Fire Marshal. This year's increase is 2.47, which works out to about a $1,650 some odd $56 increase. Next is line item 120. Just so there's no confusion with this, this is for the fire services clerk, fire services assistant that works for the Fire Marshal's office as well as the fire department. We had hired last year. Last year it was decided that it would be split between the 2 departments. At the end of the day, it's one salary of approximately $22,000. There'll be no increase this year because that candidate was started at the step rate, so the $11,000 in each budget was done to cover the top step, regardless of where they were hired. So that'll be a 0% increase. Overtime, we are not changing. We are leaving it 0%. Education, this is as fire marshals, we're required to go to continuing education to keep our certifications. We use this $1,800 for the 2 full-timers as well as any of the volunteers for certification classes. This includes annual conferences that, just like everything else, are going up. They typically run $350 to $400 per person per class. So this allows the 2 full-time employees to go to 2 training conferences annually. Next is repairs and maintenance. Right now we've been sitting pretty well at $2,400. Just like you at home paying for maintenance and repairs on your vehicles, we all know what the costs are. I'd like to keep it at the $2,400. Unfortunately, 4 oil changes times 2 vehicles, the cost of synthetic oil and all that nowadays, it's not cheap. So just that alone eats a little over half of the budget. just on, routine preventative maintenance. So there is approximately $1,200 after that first half is gone, in the event of a breakdown, some type of event. Knock on wood, we have been pretty good. One vehicle is new, and we do have an older second vehicle. So line item 530, communications. I still have it listed as the line item, but that's been moved over to one group account that handles our cell phones. Each of us full-time employees have a cell phone that we're dealing with inspections, investigations, the general public. We provide that number for, as well as repairs for any minor things for our radio systems, slings, things that wear and tear throughout the year. So that's what that item goes to. Fire prevention, you will see a massive increase of 66.67%. Obviously, that sounds like a lot until you look that the current figure is $600. I am asking for $400. In the past, up until 2 years ago, we were very fortunate through the Home Depot, Kidda, and WTNH to receive donations of smoke alarms. They have unfortunately stopped that program. We are routinely in properties without smoke alarms, whether it's fire calls or just fire prevention activities, and we find homes that are not safe. We can't in good conscience leave them that way. I was just this past Friday giving a presentation at Seymour Middle School, and I had a young 6th grader actually say, well, what happens if you don't have a smoke alarm? You take my business card and we figure out how we get them for your family, because that's absolutely unacceptable. So that is what I'm asking for that increase. The $400 roughly at Home Depot, who I'd like to promote because they have helped us out so much in the past, will get us approximately 57 smoke alarms. My dumb fireman math, that's roughly one a week to be able to help out, about the requests we get for smoke alarms. Next is the general supplies line item. I'm looking for 0%. That goes for your items that we use every single day, just like every department. Our paper, our pen, our pencils, our copying costs. We don't print very often photographs because of the digital age, but general repairs to our cameras, things of that nature. We do investigations, no different than the Detectives Bureau would over at the police department, and that's what this line item goes to, as well as we carry 4 gas meters to keep myself and my deputy safe when we're doing inspections. For gas leaks, carbon monoxide, hydrogen sulfide, and explosive gas, we do need calibration gas, which runs approximately $350 annually. So we typically use it between there and our equipment line item. Moving down to 615, we have clothing. It's at $1,800. That is for myself and the full-time deputy. Uniforms are expensive. Unfortunately, for a uniform, pair of pants, and shirt with patches, it's roughly $200. I mean, that's not counting badges or anything else. It adds up. So that's what that line item is there for. The following line item is fuel. There was an increase of $1,500. I know that the price of fuel fluctuates. That was at the advice of operations manager Tony Caserta. He had suggested that I put that increase in at that level. I know that the board is going to be working their numbers and they handle that, but that was the space filler that he felt was appropriate for our vehicles. Moving on to 640 is books and periodicals. Most of you have been here and seen me present before, but for those of you unaware, the laws in the state of Connecticut that fire marshals enforce is the Connecticut State Fire Safety Code and Prevention Code. Those are modeled after national standards. We have to buy those national standards. They don't provide them to us. So in order for us to do our job, we have to buy those code books. Not everyone gets updated every year. 2025, October of 2024, we will be going to the 2025 Fire Code, which means sets of books for both myself, my deputy, as well as handbooks. It's quite cumbersome, but that we found that that's $1,600 a year if we maintain it. Seems to give us enough space where we're not behind. We're certainly not getting more than we need, but we have found that that appears to be where we're able to get all the books we need, and then we do beg, borrow, and steal from other departments as needed. Finally on here is equipment. Equipment has been used for a few things traditionally over the years. I'll be honest, over many years we have done tires for our vehicles out of it, just because that's a larger expense that would deplete our maintenance if we did use it. So that's one of the big items in there. Other things are perishable items for fire scenes. We used respirators on scene to hopefully prevent us from dying at a young age from cancer. We use tools, equipment, things that break. We do our best to maintain them, but we do need hand tools and of the like. So that's what that equipment budget goes for, and I am not seeking an increase on that. Finally, I'll jump to 411, which is the hydrants. This one is always unique. I know everyone cringes, and unfortunately, just like a homeowner or a taxpayer, we are at the whim of public utilities. I have gone with last year's numbers of 6.79. Now, Seymour is in kind of a unique situation with our water providers. We do have two water providers. We do have Regional Water Authority, and the vast majority of town is Aquarian. Roughly 70-30. That's not entirely accurate, but it's pretty close for what we're estimating. So what this goes for is the cost of every hydrant in town, as well as the pipes and the maintenance. They are owned by them, and they maintain them for us. It's kind of a unique line because the fire chief and I work together on this, but at the end of the day, we have to pay for water. So we pay for the hydrants, we pay for the maintenance. And again, we are at the whim of what public utilities are going for. I know everyone has seen the news. We've seen what rates are proposed, and Aquarian is currently owned by Eversource, so you could expect similar requests from them. If there's any, I'm Rich, I'm not sure how you do that, but I'm done with my side of it.
Okay. All right, so I've got a couple questions, and then we'll open it up to the table. So up on line 540 with fire prevention,
Yep.
just out of curiosity, how many smoke alarms do you typically give out every year?
Hard numbers, it really depends, but I get about one request a week. In the past, traditionally, we have tried to give out 2 or 3 per household because we try to put them inside the bedrooms as well as outside the sleeping areas. I think moving forward, we won't be able to quite provide that level because we don't have any more at this point, but if I can get the $400, that would give me additional 57, doing 697 is what Home Depot is currently holding at rates for smoke alarms. That'll at least allow me to put one outside of a smoking area. It's traditionally elderly, and it's traditionally, you know, the some of our underserved populations that don't have the means to get them themselves. But we can't walk away from a property with leaving them unsafe.
Right, right. Okay. And then over with 411 on the hydrants,
Yep.
about how many gallons of water do you guys typically use in a year? I mean, I know that varies, but just to give everybody a general idea of how much we're talking about here.
So it's really, I don't want to call it a loaded question, but it can differ dramatically. A perfect example is in April of 2022, we had a very large fire in downtown Seymour, which I'm sure you're all well aware of. At one point, we were flowing over 4,000 gallons per minute for hours on end. I'm sure many of you had brown and dirty water at home during that, but upwards of hundreds of thousands throughout the year. I can't put a number on it. They don't charge us by the gallon. They charge us by the hydrant as well as the linear inch of pipe in the ground. So we pay for every inch of pipe in the ground.
Really?
Millions of inches. So I don't have that many toes or fingers to count, but it's many inches, and it's cents per inch. But when you're talking millions, it adds up.
Right. Now that's interesting. That's just learned something new today. Wow.
Okay.
Okay, I'm all set. So we'll go down the table. Lucy,
I'm all set, except one thing. Where do you
Microphone.
include, replacement of tires?
So we've traditionally purchased them out of equipment, the line item last, depending on where our repairs and maintenance are. Because it's a larger expense and that repairs and maintenance is the $2,400. It really depends on how we're doing. I hate to say it out loud, but we are doing very well on maintenance on the vehicles right now, and that includes the Deputy Fire Marshal's vehicle, which is 11 years old. We all know how long personal vehicles last, let alone vehicles used for emergency services. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention, again, we have no projected capital items this year. Originally, in the original budget I proposed 6 years ago, which we had stuck to, we were looking for a vehicle replacement this year, but we are pushing it off till next year, understanding that, trying to be financially sound and understanding that the repairs are not mounting on that vehicle just yet.
Okay. Jim?
I don't have anything.
Okay, Bev.
Yeah, I have one question on the fire hydrants. Do we know if aquarium comes around and does maintenance work on those? Do they set,
we have
they
two
come and check them?
providers.
Yeah.
Aquarian and Regional both maintain the hydrants. The chief has actually been working diligently on this. Even though I oversee the budget, we work
Right.
hand in hand, and he needs water a lot more than I need water.
Yeah.
He has been working with them, and they have agreed, at least on the Aquarian side, not the regional side, to really start increasing their maintenance around here. He can speak more on that if you have any additional questions.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that if we're paying for it, that they are doing it, you know?
Yeah, so I reached out to a couple of executives there. They got back to me. We're going to be on for the springtime for maintenance, so that's sanding, painting. Every year they get flow tested by the hydrant inspection guy.
Okay.
So that's with the flow testing stuff. But they'll be down to service them, grease them, paint them, and make them look. They're pretty dingy right now.
Yeah,
So in the spring, they're bringing in seasonal work, and they're going to start with Seymour. Do Seymour, then branch out.
okay, thank you.
And unfortunately, that is also one of those items that it is a large. It seems like a large item, and it is. But if you take that task on and decide to do it yourself, it could be just as large, and now you're dedicating manpower as well. So it's
No, I just,
unfortunately we're at their limit.
yeah, no, I was just curious if they came around and did, because I seen some of the fire hydrants and
I understand.
they needed maintenance work, but I didn't know if they came
Understood,
and
yes.
checked them and made sure they're working and everything.
Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you.
Okay. Betty Ann.
I do have a couple of questions regarding
course.
hydrants. I seem to live in the vicinity of the frequently transposed and destroyed and replaced fire hydrants on West Church Street. So when I look at the amount of extras on top of replacing just the hydrant itself, the pipes, and the 14 hours of manpower in the street with unlocking the valves, is any of this taken into account with insurance claims? Because all of the episodes, and there's only been 4 that I can remember in the last 2 years, of replaced fire hydrants, when they were hit by vehicles.
So when a vehicle strikes a hydrant, if they don't flee the scene and it's found prior to them leaving, which unfortunately we do often have,
Okay.
a police report is generated. One of the things that I am responsible for is forwarding that to the insurance company.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I apologize. Forwarding that information to the water company.
Right.
And the water company does handle that on their side. So,
Alright.
Unfortunately, I think it's beyond Seymour. Because
Sure.
obviously, we have a large provider that is working all the way from Greenwich to up above us.
Yes.
And those insurance claims are certainly one of the reasons, not the sole reason. And yes, that intersection area is kind of unique, and they have had quite a few repairs in the past.
Yeah, and I just asked, I'm sure it's a minutia part of it, but it was interesting when you talk about the millions of
Inches.
inches that I know adds up. That just like any kind of a claim, is there anything that we ever recoup?
The
just
water
sort of-
company recoups, but again,
Okay.
we don't see that.
We don't.
I'm sure their people have that worked into their
Okay.
formulas, at least to an extent.
Very good. Everything else is fine. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Kristen.
I'm all set.
Carol.
All set, thank you.
Tom. Tracy. Okay.
Thank you for playing.
Thank you, Tim.
Thank you.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Nice. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Is there anybody else that wants to talk on behalf of the fire marshal? And Chief Edwards, you already explained a couple things. Okay.
Nice job.
All right. Thank you. All right. Next up, we have the fire department. However, we've got a 10-minute recess because they're not scheduled until 7:30. So we're going to take a 10-minute recess, and we will get back. All right, we're gonna get started with the fire department. Chief Edwards, just give your name and official title for the record. Yeah, you're very
Chris Edwards,
official.
Seymour Fire Chief, 1 First Street. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. A lot of you guys I'm seeing for the first time. Some of you, not so much. So I'm planning you to see the fire department's 24-25 fiscal year budget. So we will start at the top, just like we did with the fire marshal. Line 101, salaries. That's a stipend for the 4 chiefs. It's a $2,000 for the chief and $1,000 for each assistant. No increase. The next one is we have 6 engineers that keep our low maintenance, our tools, our chainsaws, light maintenance on the trucks at each firehouse, 3 and 3. There's nothing, no raises there. 16.6 is the total line. Line 120 is our part-time clerk. As Fire Marshal Willis explained to you guys, we share a clerk. 11,000 comes out of my budget, 11,000 comes out of his with the progressional steps. No raise in that line item this year. Board secretaries, this is for our Board of Fire Chiefs and Board of Commissioners secretary, clerk. Does all the minutes and the agendas. No line item raise there. Line 340, this one has a 28% increase in it. This is our medical, our EAP. That line went up this year. We had to change our physical policies. Last year, depending on your age, you went either 3 years, 4 years, or every year. Well, the state came out with the new workers' cancer bill. One of the mandatory requirements is every firefighter has to have a physical yearly. So we needed to change our policies on that. So that raised our physicals up in that line item, that 28%, so we can abide by the state bill that came out. And that raised it to 41,600 from 32,500. Education, this is for all our training classes. When a new firefighter comes in, we send them to be state certified at the Fire 1 level, and then they continue with training throughout the year for the whole department. I kept that the same. There's no increase there at 36.6. Maintenance, line 430. This one I toyed with. I ended up keeping it the same to try to keep the budget down. That is always a very, right to the end in July, we're almost zeroed in that account because our fleet is getting older. It's costing more and more. But I do feel I could stay right where it is this year. Next year, I apologize. So I did not increase that. I left it at 65,000. Line 530 is our communications line. 19.6 has stayed the same. That is our mandatory FEMA and state reporting system. So every time we do a report, we need to send it off to the state and FEMA. And that is also our alarm monitoring for our alarms in the firehouses. And that is new as of last year. Some of you guys on this board might remember we went back and forth with that because it's a new software. Our other software was almost up to 19,000 roughly, so we swapped it with a new vendor so we could bring it down to the 10.6 that it needed to be. Our general supplies, that's all paper, toner, pens, training supplies for classroom stuff. Kept it the same at 4,000, no increase. Clothing is another line that we had to go up on. It went up 10%, 10.3 to 52,000. So this covers all the firefighters' turnout gears. Every year we are budgeted for 10 new sets. So NFPA and OSHA states that set of turnout gear is only good for 10 years, no matter the use on it. So we're not a super busy department as a city. So we still have to follow those rules and change our gear every 10 years. So well before me and my predecessors, they put this in there for 10 new sets a year to keep it on rotation. So we don't come up and say, hey, we need $200,000 for new gear in 10 years. So everything rotates through. That's helmets, gloves, boots, extrication gloves, safety glasses. But unfortunately, with the price of everything, they raised the cost on us per set of gear. Helmets are through the roof. They're up about $200 from where they were last year. So unfortunately, we had to go up on that. Gasoline for the operations manager, we left it where it was at the 20,000, no increase. Then you're going to jump down to 743. It's machinery OSHA. This is all our yearly testing. So with the fire service, we have to test everything we have. We have to do DOT inspections on our trucks, the oil changes. We got to test every ladder we have, including the big one. All the hose, air packs. We got to flow test air packs. So that's what that line is. We've been lucky where that line item's pretty much stayed the same over the last few years. This year, unfortunately, it hit me with an increase on labor rates, and most of the increase came on parts, believe it or not. The parts are taking a jump for the trucks. So I had to raise that line to 53,000 at 8.16 increase for the yearly testing. And here's the good news. I went down on the next line. 745, that's our machinery equipment. So this is what I consider like consumables. That's not in the capital range. So a chainsaw, a Halligan, a pipe pole, like I know it's probably foreign, what I'm explaining to you.
No.
Something happens to that, this is the line we take it out of. If a little generator, say, is getting up there, it's 7, 8 years old, it's giving us problems, we buy a new one, replace it, so we're not putting too much money into it. That's what that line is. Came down to 30,000 from 31,570 last year with a decrease of 497. And if you guys want, unless you want to ask questions, if you flip to your second page, you'll see a breakdown that I did with all the information on what's in each line. So we could skip down to 350. You see I put in for the RIT class, 1850,
Yeah.
12 firefighter classes, so on
Oh,
and so
yeah.
forth.
45. Was that a 3-page?
And everything in red is an
I only
increase
have 2
to those
pages.
lines, and everything else is in green that stayed the same. So all
Yeah,
in
on
all,
that
I'm
one.
asking for a 4.83% increase on this next year's budget.
All right. All right, I do not have any questions at this time, so we'll go down the line. Lucy?
I just have one question. Does OSHA come out to do testing on the equipment?
No, the vendors do. So we'll say Scott 3M is our ear packs, the ones we wear. So that certified vendor comes in.
Okay,
So they'll pass it or fail it, we'll repair it, whatever it may be. We get the report, we just keep it on file. If OSHA ever came in, I have to have that document saying
right,
that it was done by a certified vendor.
okay. And if some of the testing does come back where it doesn't pass, then you're going to have to replace some of that equipment.
Depending on what it comes back as. So if it comes back and just needing repairs, we'll shoot it over to my assistant, Cornelia, he's our maintenance chief, and then we'll realize we'll price out a new one to getting it fixed, the year of it, and we'll do a study on it, seeing if it's worth it to buy a new one or if it's going to be fixable. 95% of the time, we can fix it. A lot of our stuff is new from the air packs are brand new. You guys got it for us last year, so we're in pretty decent shape as far as all the testing goes.
Thank you.
Okay. Jim?
I don't have anything.
Bev?
Just had one question. How many volunteers do we have, firefighters?
Total on the roster, 110.
110, okay. Thanks.
That's including fire cops and stuff too.
Right, okay.
Betty Ann?
Quick reference to communication and telephone. We've gone through this before with the town. Do we call it something else versus communication and telephone with regard to communication and telephone within the town? Or we've made note of the communication and telephone being covered by the communication budget. So this is in the IT budget.
This they
Oh.
let me keep last year in mind. because
Okay,
it
so
was
my question
reporting
is-
software.
Because my question is this now part of the IT budget?
I think, yeah, oh
It-
yeah, sort of.
it
It's
is.
our first new reporting system. But they let me keep it because was so important. We wanted to make sure that it stayed with me and knew what was going on.
Okay,
Because if it goes down or something happens, if I don't catch it, it can really mess us up with the state and the government. So
All right.
they were able to let me keep it last year, to make sure that it got done.
okay. Would we rename it since we have it in the IT budget? As covered when it says telephones?
It's not in the IT budget.
Okay.
This is kind of specialized
Yes.
equipment.
Which I understood from what you
wanna
had said.
change my name
I'm
on
just
my line
asking if the name of it would change from communication telephone to emergency service first net alarming.
I mean, I guess we can name it reporting monitoring, reporting/monitoring.
Yeah, because it could come up as an ugly head. Somebody's, well, we've got IT, we got communication, we got telephones. That was my only reference, not specifically with you, but possibly with Jay, that it is monitoring and fire alarm.
This reporting
Would-
software, just so everyone knows, it is a shared service with the fire marshal,
Yes.
mandatory for him as well, so,
Mhm.
we kind of work back and forth. He kind of covers the bigger bill of fire hydrants,
Yes.
and I take on the lower bill of the reporting software, so.
Lucky guy. So it's possible that the communication slash telephone,
Chief, would it be all right to change that description from communications and telephone to reporting/monitoring?
I have no problem with that.
it just may allu- help
Just so there's no
things,
confusion with the
no
other.
confusion with other people.
I'll make
Thank
that
you.
update.
Yeah, I have no issue with that.
Thanks, Chief.
I'm all set.
Carol,
set, thank you.
Tom, Tracy.
Same question I did about
All right, very good. I mean, again, I don't have anything further. Anything else you need to add?
Nope, just, thanks for everything. We'll be back in touch. I've been tasked with, by, the first select woman and Kurt Miller, the CEO, to put together a truck replacement plan, for the next 7 years. So I'm almost through with that. As you know, we've come to you for stuff, trying to fix the years past, so that's what we're doing. But once that's together, we'll propose it to the first select woman and Kurt Miller, and then we'll be down to propose it to you guys with a whole, it's probably be out at least a 20-year plan out on what we're planning on doing. With some stuff we gotta do now and some stuff we gotta do later, but we'll let you get through this first, and then we'll come back and explain it to you.
Thank you for everything you do.
All right.
All right, thank you. Is there anybody else from the fire department that wishes to speak on the department's behalf? No? All right, thank you. All right, next up we have comms and emergency management. Again, that's supposed to be scheduled for 8 o'clock, but there's nobody from the public here, and everybody's here from emergency management. So if everybody's okay, we'll roll right into that. Is everybody all right with that up here? Okay. All right. Tommy, please give your name and your official title for the record.
Good evening, everyone. Tom Amy, Emergency Management Director. What we'll get into, we'll do communications first. Before we get into this, or actually, we'll do emergency management. We did a little reorganization in December. As we get older and lifestyle changes, we need to adjust. We've always had Tim Willis as my deputy in representation from police departments as police chief. We added a fire chief, Chris Edwards, and we changed titles, positions, and Chris is my deputy now. Tim is still with us as assistant director, and that gives us some leadway and longitude for future planning. So just so you understand that. With that statement, as I get into this budget, understand if I'm not here any longer in the future, which retirement does come, this gentleman is probably going to be your number one gentleman for this town. Cannot do what I did for 18 years. You have to understand, you need to support him, he needs a stipend down the road. It has to occur. I don't want anybody to do the amount of time I spent away from my family providing services for this town, that he needs to be compensated for that thought process. So as we get into this, repairs and maintenance, you'll see a big jump in there. You can take that $5,000 out of there, goes back to normalcy. 3 weeks ago, the 2010 Expedition that I drive, was assigned to me, died. Timing chain through, and the transmission was slipping, and they did an overview on it, so it was detrimental. It was too cost effective to try to repair a 14-year-old vehicle, so that's down and out. And that was the reason we put the extra money, is to try to keep that vehicle on the road. With that said, knowing budgets are tight, we have no idea if we get a replacement vehicle. And I'll throw this comment across the board. Years ago, when the police department was allowed to buy multiple vehicles, it was usually one or two that came out of there as hand-me-downs and became support services for the rest of the municipality if they needed a vehicle. That's no longer happening now because of budget time. So there is no ancillary secondary vehicle that we use as a support vehicle. That's gone. With that said, again, we talked about reorganization. I'm detailing more assignments to my deputy and my assistants. So it's becoming a bigger teamwork approach because, again, I'm operating only on a personal vehicle, and that's not going to go too far doing that. Next, let's talk about communications and telephones. As we know, that was our fiber optic lines, and that was our telephones. That's all been moved to and identified into the very descriptive IT budget that Rob Dyer put forward to you folks. Travel, there is none. General supplies, again, as everybody, it's printer cartridges, it's paper, pens, and other support services that I may need. Also, be advised, under emergency management, we are entitled, we have a CERT program, which is about 15 people, so we try to supply them with items that may be needed in programming and in running things. Our pod rental has been there since 2007. 2008. And again, that sits outside the middle school, and that's a 14-foot pod. All that does is it shelters pillows, blankets, cots, barricades, cones, for the purpose of opening a shelter up. That's what his main goal is, and lives there for. Clothing, you'll see the clothing has stayed the same, and it basically provides any of us a shirt, a jacket, and other things that look professional. And then when we do get new CERT members in, we would get them a couple pieces of clothing that identify them as CERT. So that's where that lives out of. And then purchase professional equipment. That's other programs that we may need for training. You'll see that went up by 1,000, and the main reason of that is the cost of CPR, first aid, and then advanced training both in animal rescue as far as sheltering purposes and new sheltering techniques. So we try to keep that group up on. And again, the Homeland Security Code Red, that went up, and the reason that was contractual for this past year. That's that budget.
All right. So my first question is, what are you planning on doing about the vehicle?
Right now, nothing. Again, it depends how your budget process. It depends how the first select woman, how she deals with it, and we'll go from there. Like I said, we're delegating a lot of the stuff out that I would normally do, go out and storm, go out in sunny conditions and check things. We've all talked already. We're gonna delegate, split the best that we can split.
Okay. And you're using your own personal vehicle now?
Yes. Limited.
Okay. That's all I have. Lucy. Jim? Bev?
I don't have anything.
Ready,
The personal vehicle still costs money. You still have to have the insurance on the car. You still have to report mileage. So there's still a cost involved in that. Are you aware of any impact on that has on a cost of a government supplied vehicle? And we've gone through, I say this specifically, because there are costs involved with your insurance cost, your mileage, and the cost to the town to provide, for you providing that.
Correct. Again, will be restricted, a limited amount use of personal vehicle.
Mhm.
There are no lights and sirens because that's $1 million indemnity policy that we
Yep.
added, so that's not happening. So, again, command and control and coordinate what I can from where places I am, and then it's up to the rest of the team. So who's available, how do we access and do this together?
And are you aware of the process to pay for reimbursement on that?
That's something new to me for the first time.
Okay. Would anybody else be able to offer that information to us for cost, that it will cost the town
So
for
there's a
those?
standard, mileage reimbursement that we do for other town employees, if they were to go to seminar, bank runs, et cetera. And that IRS approved rate for 2024 is 67 cents per mile.
Okay. How does that impact the insurance that they need to have to operate the vehicle? Because it does encompass all of the vehicles that all of the employees use from their personal car, which impacts cost. So I'm not sure where that dollar value applies. It all sounds great. We gave up our supplied cars, but it doesn't mean that we just toot around in town using our own cars. We get the mileage, but there's insurance increases and there's certain variations. Where would that dollar value go to? Does it have any impact on this budget?
If he's using a personal vehicle for town-related activity, that's 67 cents per mile covers all of that.
Okay, and that comes out of what budget?
So that would be in this budget.
Okay,
So
so where would we see that?
it would
Travel.
be-
Travel.
It would be in the travel.
It was,
reimbursement.
it would still stay in travel. Okay, just wanted to point that out, that's all. Good,
Okay.
that's it.
If I may, just kind of piggybacking off of your question, would you say that you don't use your personal vehicle often, correct? Like
For work.
for work, you're mainly using, like you're delegating the tasks to the other members of your team that have a vehicle. So your use of personal vehicle is limited. Is that correct?
Correct, that's the thought process.
Okay, thank you. Kristen,
Good clarification, thank you, Rich.
I'm all set.
Carol,
All set, thank you.
Tom,
All set, thank
Tracy.
So we've had this pod since 2008.
Yes.
That cost $2,100 a year. So would it have been more, I mean, hindsight, more cost effective to have built something or bought something instead of renting a pod every year since?
Back when we
14.
first did it, when we opened up, and it was a crash course, we needed a place to put pots and stuff in our first initial when we started opening up.
Right.
Place outside by the generator at that time for the school administration was put it outside by the generator and folks to have that spot. At that time, there was never any offering of space in our schools, physically in that building because of the occupancy. I don't know now, and actually Dr. Compton's been very good with all of us as far as assisting. Maybe it's something we can look at, but again, the only reason for that up there is have it accessible to us, and that's where this stuff is.
Okay. Thank you.
If I could, through the chair.
Yes, please.
We are to answer that question, now that we have inventory, what was going through your search team, went through it, I think, last spring, correct?
Yes.
We have an inventory of it, we are working with the middle school to A, see if we can fit it in, because that is where our shelter is, or B, how much it would cost to get a trailer, which would be cheaper than maybe $2,100 for the year, to get a trailer that we can store it, and we can't go to the middle school, or if we can store it, or how much it would cost to buy a container outright, so it's not costing $2,100. So these are all things that we're looking to cut costs. The number one choice would be to store it inside the school. Number two choice would be to get a trailer in case it has to be moved, in case God forbid something did happen to the middle school and we had to move it elsewhere, shelter, like elsewhere. Third choice, of course, is a trailer. What we
Thank you for that. Okay. Tracy, anything else? You're good? All right. Okay. So now we'll move on to, would that be communications, which is all part of the emergency management presentation tonight.
Except for the fire department. Except for the fire department, the budget was covered.
Communications and emergency management are one presentation. Ah, you're on.
What was the next tab?
But that's separate from what the fire department communication telephone was, that they figured out.
Yeah, this is, yeah, oh yeah. This is,
That was the only reason why I wanted to clarify that.
this is, oh, okay, so yeah, I get your question. This is, I believe, this is emergency management communication equipment.
Okay.
Yeah, we're good.
In front of you is Communications Commission. Under see that is the Purchase Services Northwest Public Safety for fire and EMS dispatching. It's 118,087. That stays the same. We were informed this afternoon that there was no cost increase for this year.
All right.
Repairs and maintenance, and that stays the same again, 3,500 for the quick breakdowns. We usually what we do is the labor costs come out of there, and whatever the parts are, they get purchased out of machinery and equipment line item. Again, you'll see nothing across communications telephones. Those are the two the fiber ring circuits that is under Rob's IT budget, and the Frontier fiber circuit is under his. And then we go into machinery equipment. That is 42.5 up from last year. And the reason being that we went up on that, we're trying to replace a couple things. Every year now we've been starting to lose UPSs. Again, they've been in field service for 7 years. So we try to anticipate, we figure we're going to have to lose 4 more go this year at a cost of $3,200 a piece. We just replaced some computers that control each dispatch each dispatch console of the PD. That was a $3,500 we didn't expect to do. We have to do it. All right. The anticipated down the road is another antenna replacement on PD. It's $3,400 for a quote, and that's to get part one of the two-part. It's a regional project. The region is paying for the radios, a 800 meg radio with the hardware installation into our console. So we jumped on that. It was a lower cost in order to accomplish that. Also, we want to look at in the longevity of the whole system. We redid the entire system in 2016. 15 was a design factor. When we did it, we wanted a 3-site simulcast system. We only ended up with a 2-site simulcast system because the one location we did with the Ansonia, they allowed us to come in. 2 of our frequencies interfered with their frequencies. The Ansonia this past budget year approved the bonding issues to change their radio system over, which will allow us to live into that site and allow us to go to our original design factor on that. So that's something you'll see when we talk about that shortly. Also with this stuff is 2003 is a secondary repeater site. It's not a primary, but it's a supportive, but that's 21 years old. We need to, that cost factor, replace it, and that's at $10,000. So we're trying to look at, see if we can do it part out of this year's budget, part out of next year's budget to do that. And the rest of it is money is open. We're starting to see some things go, like the day of the snowstorm on the PD receiver that was at the middle school. Circuit board went on. That's an $890 expense. So we're starting to see little things pop up in routine maintenance. That's where it comes out of these items. Can you bring up the capital, please? Right, this is the back side. Anyway, this is the backside, we'll show you the front in a minute. And again, this basically shows what we were doing. In the site, it'll be 3 repeaters, a simplex transmitter added, a combiner GPS timing module, and 2 UPS power supply units to go forth into that. So we're looking for a placeholder, not next year, but the following year's capital budget of $85,000 for this. We're trying to figure at the same time with Sony, with them changing, and trying to work into that. It may push out 1 more year further than that, but at least it gives everybody the scope of where it should be.
Okay. And this document that's up here now is under tab 4 in the binder. Okay. And that's 80. Okay. So that's 85,000 in capital that you're looking for.
Not next year, the following year, 2025, 2026 budget. We need to drop it in place.
Placeholder. Okay. All right, we'll go down the line. If anybody's got any questions, Lucy, Jim,
Almost up.
Bev,
I'm all set.
okay, Betty Ann, Kristen, Carol, Tom, Tracy. Okay. All right, thank you very much.
Thanks.
Okay. All right, so the last one is events. That would be page 16, but there's nothing in there. We have the printout that we just got from Jason. And let's see, events was originally scheduled for 8:15. I think we're good to proceed since, again, there isn't anybody from the public here.
Jason, you have an extra one?
Is everybody okay to move on? Okay. Okay, the events committee. Alex, come on up. State your name and position for the record.
Alex Baker, 203 Pearl Street, chairman of the event committee. So once again, we're here again, looking to get funded for our events for the year. A little higher than usual this year. The 175th anniversary has not been funded in the last 10 years. So that's why we're up to $50,000 for the last. Every time I'm up here, I ask for money to be put towards the 175th anniversary. This is the last fiscal cycle before our anniversary, June 24th of 2025. So keep that in mind. I'll go down. Christmas Day Parade. It's $11,500. That includes bands, trophies, scarves, plaques. The banners. The bands have been outrageous, so we actually cut back last year. Some of the bands. Some other bands are up to over $2,000. Some on $4,000 now. So we got rid of them. So this is. I think last year we were at like 10-4 to run the save some money. The Christmas light, that's the holiday lights where people decorate their houses. I do have extra product for the signs and the banners and stuff. I can reuse again, so that's why that kind of came down another $1,000 from last year. The fireworks cost about $10,000 and about $1,200, between $1,000 and $1,200 for the fire watch. So we're keeping that at the same. Not the fire department, the fireworks company reassured me they could do the same show for the same money if I book earlier. So I said I'll do what I can. The 175th anniversary, the $50,000 parade, fireworks, some open houses, thinking about a carnival, and some concerts on the park, and a few open houses. That's what that money's gonna go towards. We're gonna try to do some fundraising as well as the booklets and stuff like that. But we're a volunteer group. Anne Marie assured me that we're gonna try to get together a larger committee to all work together to make it easier. This is not like we're like a year away. And the summer concert bands is actually like spring, summer. We want to start another thing up at one of the parks up there to do some fundraising as well for the 175th anniversary. So that's what I have. Comes to about $78,550.
Okay.
Entertain any questions if you have any.
Okay, so the summer concert bands, that's event to kind of serve as a fundraiser.
Probably like a fundraiser slash opening for the. We're gonna try to put some. We're gonna, as a group, yes, we'll say yes. So as a group, we want to do some fundraising to put some money towards the 175th anniversary.
Okay. So the scary lawns and the Christmas lights. That was a pretty hot event this year.
Oh, the Scary Long was fun. We had a lot of fun, especially a few on Maple Street.
That was great. And it was good for the community. And you had quite a bit of participation this year with that, correct? Because I remember you did that one other year. Did we do that the year before last? No.
This is the
Second
year,
one,
but
though.
We had to take a year off. We had last year didn't get funded. The year before it didn't get funded.
Okay.
I didn't have any extra money for it.
All right.
And also, if you see, I took out on the budget the Memorial Day parade. I've been asking for money for that, and we have about $12,000 left over in that account.
Okay.
We've been funding that with donations and everything. So I took that out of the events. We're going to try to. I think we have enough money to do the Memorial Day parade, but keep in mind, next year that's going to be on the line too. But we won't have the big $50,000 line.
Right.
So I'm trying to save some money this year to help the people, but try to get the same events out to everybody.
Okay. All right.
25 people that for the Scary Lawns this year. I think that was actually bigger than the Christmas lights this year. But talking to people, I think Christmas came on so fast this year. It was just like everybody I talked to, it's like, oh my God, it's Christmas this year, and it's like,
Right.
It was fast, and we had we had no snow, all we had was rain, so that hurt a lot. That hurt the program this year.
Those are two very, very cool
Fireworks
things
for
that.
the high school was for the first time moving it from the land trust to up there. I think it was a great success. We had great support. The fire department, they helped out big time. They were there to help us. Even when our fire crew, our fireworks people were setting up at Chatfield Park. I got that phone call at 12 o'clock, and the crew of Great Hill helped load the truck up, helped get us there. So, thank you for them too. That was great. I mean, we all work together.
Good.
It's a small community. I think these events are needed. I'm asking that you put it through this year, and let us do what we do best here in Seymour.
Yeah, I mean the fireworks show got rave reviews, and the guy said we could do the same show as last year. I mean that was quite a show. That was really nice. All right, that's all I really have on this. Lucy?
Just a question on the summer concerts. You said you were planning to do that.
I hear you.
No, okay. That you were doing it as a fundraiser. Is that gonna interfere with any of the concerts that?
I talked to Judy Simpson already. I have a
So
list.
you
I
have it
have
all
a list
set
of
up.
her, yes.
Okay, now the other question I have of the first selectwoman is, if we're starting to take donations for the 175th anniversary, are you setting up a special line item for donations rather than leaving it in individual accounts?
It will go to the finance department, we'll set up a separate line item, just for that, for the donations, will go into there, and we paid out of that account.
We do everything through the finance department now.
Yeah, I understand that, but I thought, if there was going to be under income, a special,
I'm not gonna
A
put that in
line
the
item.
budget, that won't go in the budget, it will be a separate line item in the finance department, that the finance department has, and anything that we have to pay out of there, I'm not gonna put that in the budget.
I was just concerned about where the funds would be.
Right.
If it was a
And
special.
it wouldn't be, it's not really justified as income or revenue, the donation is coming in, so they go back out. So I wouldn't put that in the budget, the finance department would just set up a separate line item.
Right, that money would be specifically earmarked for that event and shouldn't be held against or with our revenue. Okay,
That's it.
that's it. Okay, Jim,
I'm all set.
Bev,
I'm all set.
Betty Ann,
I'm all set, thank you, Alex.
Kristen,
I'm all set, thank you.
Carol,
All set, thank you.
Tom, Tracy.
So the fireworks, you said moved from the land trust?
Yes.
Did the land trust fund that in the past, or
We
was
funded,
always?
the land trust funded it up to about 5 years ago, and the town took over funding for the fireworks. 5 years ago. So all we did, we moved the location. We had, a year before the fireworks, we had, 2 people get hurt walking up the street. One person fell over a curb. Parking was atrocious. You couldn't park anywhere. And we outgrew Chatfield Park. So, and now I saw how things were set up at the high school. We're gonna try to add a little bit more stuff up there for the day, so it's just not gonna be fireworks, probably get more food trucks. We're gonna try to build up on it.
Okay.
And I'm even thinking, probably putting something up there for the 175th with the fireworks. A little person whispered in my ear the other day. I said, "Hey Chief, what do you think about the 175th anniversary? What do you think of the carnival?" He was like, "Look, suggestion here, put it here, put it here." I said, "Wow." What was that?
I think we did have that. I was like,
Right under the bus, right under the bus.
So you know what? And I do. I mean, even with the Memorial Day stuff, I do talk to people, and I try to get everybody's input. I mean, I'm not.
Alex,
You know?
could you please explain why the land trust no longer pays for the fireworks?
Because we can't afford it anymore.
Okay. No, because everybody, Tracy brought up a good point, the land trust used to pay for the fireworks. How did we go from the land trust paying for the fireworks
To the town.
to the town paying for the fireworks and being in the town's
Oh, okay,
budget?
so what we did was,
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
That's all
What
right,
we did
that's all
was, it was a big cost for us, for insurance, and we basically live on donations over at the land trust. But also, I let the town has 100% access to our land trust for a lot of their meetings, so we're working together to get, to help keep our costs down. Our insurance rate after that big flood we had went up almost 9,000 a year on top of that. So we're trying to rebuild stuff back up there with the small manpower that we have. And I didn't have the manpower to solicit more business and stuff like that for the donations for the fireworks. And like I said, we outgrew it.
Okay, thank
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Alex.
Appreciate your time.
Thank you. Okay. I'm a big fan of fireworks too. All right, item number 5, our second public comment. Is there anybody from the public that wishes to speak? Anybody from the public going twice? Anybody from the public going 3 times? Hearing no public comment is closed. Item number 6, correspondence. Jason, did we get any emails or questions or anything via email? No. Okay, thank you. Item number 7, new business. Everybody can direct your attention to our sheet that lists all of our meeting dates. As you know, today we had the change tonight, so when we meet on February 26th, we will now be hearing from Community Services, followed by the Registrar, followed by Building Compliance, then Culture and Arts, then the Finance Department, and then Town Revenues. So we have a pretty heavy schedule on Monday. Anybody have any questions on the schedule up here?
Looks good, thank you for the quick changes.
Everybody's good? All right, so that brings us to item number 8, which is adjournment. So, let's see, what time do we have officially? It is 8:11. All right, so we will close this workshop. And
Make a motion to adjourn.
okay, well, we have a motion. So, somebody want to second the motion?
I'll second it.
All right, second by Kristen. Is everybody in favor of that? All right, anybody opposed to that? All right, chair votes aye, motion carries. Thank you.
Good job. Good job, everybody.
All right, we will see you all on Monday.